Hi, my name is Erica and welcome to TsundEri, the channel about anything and everything having to do with anime. And in today's video, I'm going to answer the question, how has the English dubbing industry been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic? Now, I'm not a voice actress, I've never worked in the dubbing industry, so I had to get a little help from one of my favorite voice actresses, Quinones, who you may know as the voice of Mirko from My Hero Academia, Rika from Wonder Egg Priority, Nessa from Pokemon, and a whole bunch of other characters. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Daenerys at my very first con ever, MetroCon. I mentioned that in my last video. And while I was talking to her, I was actually able to ask her if she wanted to be a part of my video and, do an interview with me and kind of give her expertise. And she was so nice about it, and I'm so grateful for her taking the time to speak with me. And yeah, so let's just get right into it. Starting with, how has the auditioning and casting process changed since the pandemic?
For auditioning, we had two options basically. You would submit via email, which is kind of been the consistent norm. Like you get the slides in the email, and you record, send 1 take, 2 takes, whatever they want, and then you send it back, and then they will let you know in like a week or whatever. But there's also the option of in-person auditions, and that's definitely more common for animation and video games. Anime, it happened once in a while. I think that was something that was starting to die out anyways. But you would come in and you would just, read the sides, do your best, just like any other audition. And that was basically the process. And then post-pandemic, or in pandemic rather, we still have the submitting via email part. And now those kinds of auditions are more common and we actually have time for them, because back then we didn't really have time for auditions. There would be a lot of auto casting going on, not necessarily out of bias, but more so out of, hey, we don't have time, And so very often cast would just be assembled based on, who directors or casting directors knew could get the job done. And now we have more time because production has slowed down. Now there's more time to do auditions, and it's given more opportunities for people, more opportunities for new people to be heard. We're definitely getting to a norm with, auditioning where, we can submit. There's time to submit. There's time to, think about how you're going to approach a character and, give a first impression to a director or casting director that maybe you couldn't have done before, So it's very new talent friendly, I think.
So speaking of new talent, you may have noticed since the pandemic that when you're watching anime, you may hear some new voice actors and actresses. And you also might notice some more diverse voice casting. I know for me, my personal favorite was actually the casting of Horimiya that had Daenerys, Zeno Robinson, Julissa Delgado, Youngie Chang, who you may know from Get in the Robot, or Beyond the Bot now, I should say, and a whole bunch of other fresh faces. But there's a reason for that, and the pandemic definitely plays a role.
No, definitely that is the case, because a lot of the breakout stars we have now, like AJ Beckles, Anjali, she's in Fena, Pirate Princess, and even myself, we are all out of state, nowhere near any of the big hub spots like New York or Texas or LA, and we're still able to work. And we're all POC, so it's, one of the benefits of recording from home right now, where there's more opportunities for people of color. And also on the side of directors and studios, they have more time to do auditions and also explore new talent. And I think that's really helped with, bringing in new diverse actors.
It's also important to note that at the start of the pandemic in the United States, there was also a huge social justice movement, particularly addressing police brutality against Black people. And this movement sparked a huge conversation about diversity in the media and even trickled into voice acting.
I think really the whole diversity conversation became a big deal after last summer with the Floyd protests, and then the conversations that everyone in the industry were having about the lack of diversity in VO. That's when I feel like studios started to listen more. Whether it's out of feeling pressured to or out of genuine wanting to do better, people started introducing diversity, and I think it started a conversation, and a sort of safe space to bring these things up and have these conversations where, before people didn't feel comfortable bringing it up because of power dynamics and all that stuff. I don't know if you're aware of this list. There's a list called the PGM list, which is made by Edward Hong. And basically, a bunch of people of color just put their information, their website, all the voice acting related stuff on there. And it's like a list that Edward sends out to casting directors and studios and agencies, and they've actually been using that list to, cast people of color. And I've noticed, more utilization of lists like that. So I definitely think diversity will improve over the years. And, it's emphasis on years because I don't think this will be an overnight fix. The ideal isn't that everyone plays their respective race or culture identity. That's not what voiceover is about. The ideal is that everyone gets opportunities, and that's mostly what all the voice actors, POC voice actors, have been advocating for. Like, let us get opportunities, let us read, so we can show you that we can do something outside of playing the Black character.
So while we're on the topic of casting, I was also able to get some insight about why sometimes when we're watching anime dubs, you may hear a lot of the same voice actors over and over again. Now, for me, I really don't mind when I'm watching a dub and I hear the same actors, just because, I don't know, I like listening to it and I can pick out who the voice belongs to and all that. It gives me the same feeling I get when I'm watching a TV show and, I don't know, Michael B. Jordan pops up. Like, oh, I know who that guy is. Remember when he was on The Wire? I don't know. But some people don't really like that, and I was able to get some pretty good insight as to why.
When it comes to introducing new talent, especially to anime, they have to learn how to do ADR, because ADR is not something you can just learn like that. It is a skill, and it takes experience and time for you to learn it, and you learn it on the job. And you have some cases where people are able to pick it up quickly and they can go straight up to voicing a main character like AJ, because it's not really common for new people to be able to voice main characters like that. Normally it takes more time because they got to learn how ADR works, because the director or the studio trusts them and they're able to work under pressure. They're able to work with the time constraints. And I think that's a thing a lot of fans maybe aren't aware of, the amount of time constraints that comes with producing anime dubs. Now with simul dubs, you only have like a week or two to get an episode out. You have to write the script, casting, then they have to dub for the main characters. They have to schedule them, first of all, make sure that everyone fits within the schedule within that week, and then they have to record them, and main characters can have like up to 12 hours of work within a single episode. You also need to cast for supporting characters for Walla. And even now with remote recording, it's harder to do all that because you're working with so many different setups. I don't think that's necessarily like, a good, it's a good reason, but maybe not a good excuse to not hire new talent. I still think you can introduce new talent while also doing that. But I think in the vision of many studios, it's like, oh, okay, we have all this work to do. Let's go to our go-to people who have proven themselves,
So now we have a deeper understanding as to how the auditioning and casting process works, but what about recording from home? What are some things that actors had to adjust to, and how has that been impacted?
One of the challenges is, at first it was trying to make sure that you were broadcast quality. It's like, oh, okay, what is this, a good enough interface? Is this a good enough microphone? Okay, I need to make sure my space sounds good. And I remember I had to go buy some vinyl masks to make sure that everything was quiet. Or after we figured that stuff out, at that point it's like, oh, okay, what do I need? Like, what software do I need right now? And even still, every director and studio and such works differently. So whatever they want, you need to get. So, oh, okay, I need Source Connect to record. Let me pay, what is it, $30 a month or $15 a month to have that, But, having to download software, having to figure out how to use software, everyone had to learn how to do that, had to learn how to engineer themselves, because now we lack the engineer and we have to watch our gains, make sure we aren't peaking, and if we are, make sure it's at a point where it's not peaking. So there's like a lot of things we had to figure out.
And alongside learning a new software and having to engineer yourself, there's also a slew of other complications that can happen when you're trying to record from home. And these complications can actually lead to simuldubs airing late.
Remote recording, we're recording everybody from home. That includes the main characters, supporting characters, maybe the little one-liner characters where they'll say something, and also Walla, which is like the chattering you might hear in the background or the crowd kind of speak. Because remote recording is hard enough, and there's technical difficulties that come with remote recording, like maybe you'll have interruptions, like a plane, flies by. You can't do anything about it, so you wait for it to pass, and it takes some time away from the session. Maybe there's a car driving by and it's making a lot of noise. You have to stop, and again, that takes up a lot of time. Maybe your neighbor decided to mow the lawn and you have to stop again. So,
Bruh.
I mean, everyone has their own ways of recording right now with the remote recording, but a common one is Source Connect, and sometimes Source Connect will not work. Sometimes for whatever reason, somebody will be dropping out like for a whole hour, and then again, that takes away from the session. So you have like those kinds of technical difficulties. Because it's taking long to record things, we also have to pad sessions. So maybe a session that would have taken like just 5 minutes because you have a one line, now we have to pad it out for 15 or 30 minutes just in case, and that takes away from scheduling, takes away from the time of the day. And it's like all this complicated stuff, when it comes to remote recording. And you also have to consider like the engineering side, where they have to make everyone's setup sound the same. And have to deal with bringing up audio because maybe it was like gain too low or whatever. It's all this technical stuff that now is way harder because of remote recording.
And if you're an upcoming voice actor who is trying to find a way to navigate this industry in what feels like the darkest timeline, here's some advice on how you can stay motivated and work on your craft.
My number one thing is having fun. And that's, even without the pandemic, you want to have fun with this. Because you don't want it to be something that stresses you out. So you need to find ways to have fun. You need to connect with your peers, especially now, so that you can converse about what's going on, maybe vent about something that may be stressing you out, keep each other informed and support each other when things get tough. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, especially now, because like things are slowing down for everyone, and it's hard to get work even for people who aren't in voiceover, so be patient, be kind to yourself. Take advantage of the opportunities we have now, because there's like a lot more opportunities to get in front of directors and studios and all that stuff. But only do that if you're ready, and if you're not ready, then take some classes. There's this place called A Studios where I think it's $10 a year, like $10 a year to subscribe, but it's like $40 a class, super cheap. And there's like one class where you can do like remote recording for anime for like 4 hours or something, and another class where you can be in front of the Spider-Man casting director or whatever. So there's like a lot of opportunities to learn and to do the work. So make sure to take advantage of like what there is right now, because there's like so many things. And yeah, just have fun.
So there you have it, a little bit of insight into how the pandemic has impacted the dubbing industry. First, I want to say thank you to Inês Quinones for taking time out of her very busy schedule to sit down and talk to me. I really appreciate it. Also, happy birthday. At the time that I'm recording and uploading this, her birthday just passed. So I hope you enjoyed your day, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I also hope we cross paths again. Also, to everybody who is watching, I am currently trying to get up to 500 subscribers. Once I get up to 500, I'll do another cosplay. I'm thinking Eri from My Hero Academia, since we both go by Eri. Would that work? Would that work? Let me know in the comments. But definitely gonna do another cosplay. And yeah, I guess that's it. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to TsundEri. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and yeah, say hi and let me know what you think.